Hey, today we are going to do an update video on that, this book actually, that I did about a month ago, I think. It was labeled Tuesday Morning's Graphic 45 Haul and Steampunk Book. So in the previous video I showed that I had this encyclopedia, one of two. This is the one I have not done any work on. And in the previous video I had shown some papers I had found there at Tuesday Morning's that had the steampunk inspired paper. So let me move this out of the way for a minute and let me show you some of my papers. You're going to see some repeats on pages, and then you're going to see some other stuff that I had been collecting to go along with this because I do like steampunk. So all of these papers I am showing you now are ones that I am using or will use in my steampunk book. Let me get this jar of water out of the way and create a big mess. Here we go. There we go. Alright, so this particular package is the Momenta, and this is double-sided cardstock, and I do believe the title of the pattern was called How It Works. And you can see some of the samples here of those papers. I'll show you better details of them in a minute. And then up here at the top is some. Now I've already gone through and I've torn out however many pages of these I plan to use. There are a few pages in here that I didn't feel really worked with my idea, like this one here is the older advertising kind of stuff, and that just wasn't going to go with my thought process for the steampunk. The next set of paper I have to use in this project is the Steampunk Botanica from Recollections. Now any of these paper packs, I have no idea how long ago they were put out or how hard they will be to find or any of that. These are just some stuff that I ran across in several different locations, whether they be you know, discounted at Tuesday Mornings, or I may have actually ran across them at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or whatever scrapbooking site I might have been on. I really can't help you find these. So if you see something you like, you're just going to have to try and hunt them down for yourself. I'll just give you as best information as I possibly can so you can hunt them down. So like I said, this is the Recollections Steampunk Botanica. So these ones are a glossy paper. You can see the shine there. So these won't be used a whole lot, but there's loads of wonderful imagery in here that I think would be, like these cut aparts here are really good. Look at this one here with the keys and stuff. I think a lot of these will be really nice to use as accents parts. Like that bird cage is just freaking awesome, but I think it's too big to fit in my book. I might have to cut off this part down here. In fact, it's a bird cage on top of a meat grinder. So that's really kind of funny. There's the meat grinder right there. Sorry. So, holy cow. These are really thick, one-sided papers. So I think may have already pulled some out of that to use. There was another set that I had picked out of, and I don't know where it ran off to. So we will bypass that for now. This paper is by Basil Basics. This might have been in one of my videos. This is just a whole bunch of clocks. So Basil Basics, it's called Heritage Clocks because the back is actually a family genealogy chart that you could fill out. This was a Tuesday Morning's purchase. The next one I found that I thought would be fun, this was shown in my previous video, is the Graphic 45 Steampunk Spells Collection. This is the Mechanical Marvels page that has all those different pieces that could be cut out. And then the reverse is the flying bodice portion. And the next one I have is also Graphic 45, same Steampunk Spells Collection. This is the Witching Hour. These clocks have different words in between them and that are more in reference to Halloween. So I'm not sure how much of this I'll end up using. It might just be a thin strip because I really don't want to go on to the idea of it being a Halloween paper or book. And then the back has these different little recipes for, you know, with the Eye of Newt type of thing. Now this one is also Graphic 45. This one's also the Steampunk Spells collection. This is Clockwork, so this one's a really awesome one when you're getting the really big clocks mechanics in your imagery. There's some really big circles here that can be cut out. And then on the back is the mini gears. I don't know how you can see that, but this was in that previous video as well. At some point I had been on a scrapbooking site and ran across some Graphic 45 papers that I liked. And I bought 4 pieces of this. This is the Craft Reflections collection, Express Yourself. And I really liked the text on there. And the back is a kind of a plain craft color. And along with that purchase, I had picked up these ones. These are also the same Graphic 45. This is the Old Curiosity Shop collection, Race for Time. So it's got the penny farthing bikes, and some of them have the clock included in on the big wheel there. Another thing I found at Tuesday mornings when I was shopping one time was the Domestic Goddess collection. It was the alphabet. Now this is not just a regular piece of paper. These are pop-out letters. So they all look like the little keys on your typewriters. I don't know if you can see that there, but each one of these pops out. So because I have gobs of them, I can spell anything I want to my heart's content. The next thing I found when I was there was the Steampunk Spells pockets, tags and pockets. So I have these to use as embellishments on the pages. I'm only using the ones that are steampunk. The other packet of items that I got from them was same collection, but it was the flowers. So I have these different flowers here with the gears and steampunk goodies going on. And then lastly, in this batch of things that I'm digging through, I had purchased this at Hobby Lobby because I thought it was awesome. And I may or may not use any of these in this project, but this was a coloring book by Creative Haven. And it's just steampunk images that can be colored. And there's a lot of neat things in here. In fact, one of them I thought was really cool. Is this lady here with her big clock in the background. So I might actually color her and add her to the book. I think she would fit. I'll have to measure and see, because I have a size restriction, obviously, with the paper. Alright, now along with those, I have some other paper collections that I didn't really feel like digging out, because for the most part the collection is not steampunk related at all. So I'll just show you a few pages that I have that happen to have been picked up here and there. This is that one that I showed you already. Alright, this one is by, I think I got this at a scrapbook store. This is Echo Park. It is the Reflections by Lori Whitlock, Simple Stamps. So it's got these lovely clocks, and then the back is stamps. I was more interested in the clocks. This one is Bo Bunny, and it's called Somewhere in Time Balloons, so obviously those are perfect for steampunk related things. And then the back of that one is pipes, which works perfect as well. This is the same collection. This one's called Chrononaut, I think is what it's supposed to be. There you go. So this has the bodice that's very familiar with the steampunk. We got some mechanicals here, and then the gears up here in the corner, and a bunch of words, and then the back is just giant gears, which I have plenty of stuff that looks like that. This came from another paper pack I have. I don't remember what it's called, but this is obviously a radio or some type of device with the old tubes and stuff, so I thought maybe that would work. This is from that shiny set I was showing you, I believe. So some neat gears there. This one comes from Heidi's Swap coordinating pattern on the back. It says schematic, no limits. So this part right here I might not worry about keeping, but there's some good portions there to use. And then this is just kind of a burlap kind of look to it. There's those letters I was talking about. And, you know, as you can see, they do pop out. So I have a couple of those handy. Here's that graphic 45 paper again. And that one's also a repeat. And then this one is also Bo Bunny. This one's called Timepiece TikTok. So some really cute clocks, watches there I can cut out. And a plain paper. And then this one came for the Bo Bunny ones that we just saw somewhere in time. And I got these from my local store as well. And so these are just different element stickers and alphabet that can be used that, you know, like that one has the watch parts, and then of course a nice train, hot air balloon, some gear pieces, and different fun frames that can go in there. So I'm going to be incorporating those in there. So originally my plan was to take this book and go through and remove a few pages, glue some together, and continue on, you know, keep a few, remove a few, keep a few, glue together, so that I could have this nice old paper. Well, the problem I encountered is this paper's not very sturdy anymore. Alright, because of its age, in fact, even trying to use my X-Acto knife to cut it, it wouldn't cut. It was just tearing up a strip, which was very strange considering this is a new blade in here. And when I would glue a few together and then fold those over this portion that I had cut from, they were splitting, even though I had not cut through them. And it's because this paper, you know, normally when you fold the paper and fold it back, you're good to go. Well, this one, if you fold it too many times, I don't know if I can get it to cooperate because I'm on camera now, it really rips easy. It's really crumbly and awkward, and all I could think was if I have stuff added to that, that's going to put more stress on this already weak kind of paper. And my point of having this really cool book with all these neat steampunk pages in it is just going to fall apart, and I'm going to be angry, right? So then I went on to figure out how to dismantle the book. Now, any of us who've watched Shannon Green know that there's lots of different types of books to open up and ways to get in them. Well, I encountered a strange binding system in this one that I hadn't seen before, and I had not even seen Shannon mention it in any of her videos where she's talking about how to take books apart. So I actually took a picture of it and showed it to her on her Facebook page because it was quite fascinating. So I'm going to insert those pictures right here so you can see what I'm talking about. So as you can see in the one picture, it shows this funny little tab. Now that little tab is actually in here someplace. So normally you can pull the cover away from the cover and the first sheet away, and you get to the part where the binding is attached to the rest of the book. Well, in this one, it's here after the first page. And there's this tiny tab from about here to the back of canvas that I was showing in that picture. And every inch or so along this canvas is a string. So I had to cut the strings, and the other picture shows where the strings were still attached to the actual cover and the book block. So this is the book block. So here's where all those strings were through, and this is the nasty glue that's still attached. This stuff is so crumbly and gross. I have to do my scraping stuff on it still. But even though this nasty glue was so old, Those strings were very, very strong, and they held all this stuff in there very well. And, you know, this is a 65-year-old book, because it was made in 1950. They had come up with this Compton Durabound. This was their little patent pending thing that they were doing. Well, apparently they've chosen an excellent way to do books. That was a real pain to get out. I had to use an X-Acto knife. I almost went to get a screwdriver, but I ended up taking my my metal ruler here and just getting in there and really digging it apart. Oh my gosh, that was a struggle. So once I got that out, I was left with the cover. All right, let me back up a little bit. Before I actually took that cover out, or that inside out of the cover, I actually finished the cover. So here is what, well, this is what it looks like empty, by the way. This is my cover. Now, I have posted pictures of this on the Crazy Island Family book, or group, I mean, and my Instagram. I think that might be it. So here's going to be a nice close-up view. Let me do a zoom in so we can get a real good look without that light being all up in it. See if I can remember how to zoom. Here we go. So, start here at the bottom. I added these metal embellishments. I do believe they were Momenta, and I got those at Tuesday Mornings. So you can see here in between the black, there's that bit of light. This is actually silver, and I used my Viva Inca Gold in the pewter, I think it's called pewter, to get in there. I rubbed that around a bit, and then I used some copper and gold in here. And when I did that, I went back across with a baby wipe and just wiped the surface so it would only be in this portion here. Now, I'm not sure if you can tell on camera, but in this section here and this section here, there's also another color. And that is the leftover gold and copper that I had on my paintbrush from when I was working in this section here. So I just added that all over the place. And then after I got that all added on there, here you can see the little bit of different color going on. After I had that all added on there where I wanted, I went back across with some Claudine Helmuth, I think it was. She has those little bottles of the paint that you can, it works kind of like the Distress Stickles bottles, about the same size. Anyway, I used that, and because it was a glossy acrylic paint, to go back across these lines and make sure that they popped from the rest of it. So, as you can see here are these little embellishment corner parts. They're really fun. You know, this book was perfect for this kind of project. I had absolutely nothing I needed to do the cover other than to color it. Now, as you can see here, let me zoom back out a little bit, make it a little easier. Oh, wrong way. Oh, here we go. This is that center panel I had mentioned that I was going to cut out. Let me find my other book so you can compare the before and afters. So there they are, before and after. So I cut those out so that I could fit these specific gears in. I had originally started using my X-Acto knife and a template, and I tell you what, this cardboard is the hardest thing to cut through. So I finally got an epiphany, I guess, and I got my Dremel out, and that made things so much easier. Just got in there, and oh, it was a blast after that. I just had to make sure to put a protective something. I used one of my craft mats, put it in behind here so it wouldn't mess up the rest of the pages, which in the end did not matter because I got rid of them. So we got up in there. Let me zoom back in again so we can get a nice good look at these. So if you could see in the background there, there's some imagery. That is actually portions of one of the shiny pages from one of my books. Here's a really great view of it, nice and close. So here's what's left of it. I cut out a chunk that would fit into that hole that also had some nice elements that I enjoyed. And stuck that back there, and when it was really shiny I just didn't like that. So I used some clear gesso on it to dull it down to make it look more like it was supposed to be part of the book rather than some random paper shoved in there. So I used some brads I already had, and I did dab a little bit of the color that I was using on these. As you can see, they do turn a little bit. I'll explain some more about that in a minute. But I used that clear gesso on these chipboard pieces, or fiberboard, or whatever the heck they're supposed to be, to give it this neat textured look. So you can see that texture there where it's all kind of lumpy and got a neat effect in it. And then I got out my black alcohol inks, Ranger alcohol inks, and my copper mixative, and got all this really nice color on here just by painting it on with a brush, really getting it exactly how I thought would look nice. And then I came back in with some gold mixative, and I highlighted a little bit here and there just to kind of, you know, give it a little aged look with some different colors. Now this piece will turn. Granted it won't because that other cog is in the way. This one would turn because I had to put an eyelet in the center here because this hole was so big it was just going to flop everywhere. So that one, it might have gotten stuck to the bottom at some point. Now these two down here, that center hole of this cog was so small that by turning it, the brad is actually going to rip the cardboard. So my idea of having it be able to spin, it can move a little bit, as you can see, but to be able to, you know, start the one and have it spin the rest to create that cool little mechanics effect, I don't really want to jack up, you know, the mechanism, so I'm not going to really worry about making that a point. Alright, so there's that. It gives us a really fun, you know, aged look. And these I put on with E6000, so I think they're going to stay there for a while. And if the off chance I manage to knock one off, I do have some spares. Alright, on to the end. Oh, and when I was doing the work, this started doing some weird picking off, flaking kind of thing. So I did put a coat of matte varnish that I have onto it. And I think I will end up putting that over the entire cover just to make sure that none of this stuff, you know, gets rubbed off or messed up in any way. And I'll do that probably to the back as well. So on the inside, once I got the cover out, that, or the book block out, that cover was the scenery. Let's see. This old, yeah, whatever. Not going with my steampunk look. So I cut some papers, and I've come up with this. I used my letter paper. Stuck this in with some double-sided sticky tape. I don't remember what brand it is, but it looks like this. Got that all in there. Folded it a bit so that this nice edge piece would work. And of course that is only a 12-inch paper, so it stops somewhere over here. So I got a chunk of this and created a pocket. I just glued around the edge, and then I used some clips to make sure it stayed stuck. So I have that. And then here's the center where I'm gonna, you can see there those, what's left of those strings still stuck in that tiny flap of canvas. It was really crazy how obnoxious that was to get out of there. And then I did the same to the back cover, so I have a pocket back here where I'll be able to tuck some stuff. Or even, you know, this may not look good on here, but I got room to add a little pocket, and I can, you know, jam stuff in there. So that's where I'm at so far. Oh, wait. No, I'm not. I've got a little bit more to tell you. So of all those papers I was showing, I went through and I got out the first batch, which was from the Momenta How It Works collection. This one here. And I got, at each pattern you get 3 of them. So I pulled out 2 of each page, and then I cut each page slightly different, so I would end up with two totally different pages out of it. So this page and this page are actually the exact same page, but because I turned them a little differently and cut them down slightly different, as you can see, this would have been this piece here. I'm able to get two totally different pages out of it. Similar but different. So then the back, of course, has, this particular one has, looks like bike chain. So I have those two and these. This was like the bike gears. Sounds like right there-ish. This was one of those crankshafts in the engine. And I cut this one off a little differently. I kept it where I maximized the leftover piece as much as possible so I can use that on other pages. But on this particular one, I ended up cutting it, this little tiny piece off, because by doing so I was able to keep this neat little blurb on it which says hand wheels and stem winder, which is kind of steampunk-ish. So, and these lovely gears. And the back had this, I'm not sure, I think it might have been a ledger type inspired thing. Now this one's hard to see, but it has some great images here. There's some chain and sprockets, and almost like some blueprint type work going on. And then this one's got just some different mechanicals in there, different gears. Here's another same page, different part, blueprint type thing. There's some more gear parts. So these are, and I love that they're double-sided, so these would be the base of my other parts. And another thing about these is, I don't know how well this picks up on the camera, but this has texture to it. It actually seems like canvas. So I really don't know how well that'll pick up, but really fun papers. So this one had some giant engine thing and some weird parts in the corner. Oh, my paper's getting all away from me. There we go. Some awesome gear parts here. I did use this piece of the paper that had advertising on it because it had these neat gear parts in the corners as well. And there's some more of that. So that, so far, it's those. And I cut these so that when they go into the book cover, they are large enough that they are going to go into this slot. So when they're bound in there properly, they will be over here, but they're going to be all the way back here, because I'm going to either sew those together somehow. I probably have to sew them together, and then glue whatever it happens to be. There's going to be some similar to how it was originally created. But as you can see, that's not quite enough papers in there to make this a filling book. However, once I've added some things to these pages, this might fill out more and, you know, be more like, you know, not this squashy business going on here. Alright, so I hope you've enjoyed seeing a update on where my book is going. Hopefully in the next video I will be able to show what I have done with some of my pages as I've gone along. Perhaps figure out what else I want to add in here. I might go through that paper pad and pull that one other page out and cut it differently too, because I've been hoarding this paper for a while, and this is a perfect project to use it in, so I really don't see why I should just keep hoarding it for no reason whatsoever. If I really want to have little bits of paper left over, you know, I've got all these little pieces that have somethings on them, which of course can be used, you know, to create pockets and whatevers. So hopefully you like that. And if you are not already a subscriber to my channel, please do so and like this video. I'm trying to increase my numbers. Share this with your friends if you think that they would enjoy seeing a steampunk book as it's being created. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day, and take care. Bye.